Well, now here we have like four things, okay, between business, MMF, SACCO, T-bonds. Which one is the best to invest? This is a question that I always get from people, especially those clients who call me. Perhaps maybe you had a confusion on this. Today I'm going to shed the light and explain to you which one is the best for you to actually pick it up and invest in this year 2024 and let's say henceforth, all right? All what you need to do, by the way, this is the qualifications for you to get the answer. Just watch this video to the end, as simple as that. And by the way, hey, just by virtue of telling me thank you, guess what you do? It's just to like this video and also hit that, a small button written subscribe. It's just down below there on your right. All right, just hit that button. Doesn't cost you anything. It's free of charge. And also comment down below. Right, let's get into the business now. Here we are. You have yourself a business, an MMF, a SACCO, or a treasury bills or a treasury bond. Now, which one is the best for you to actually invest? And what are the principles that you should guide you in picking the one that works for you? You know why I have decided to talk about this? Because we have different personalities. For example, we have like, let's talk of A person and we have a B person. Probably we can add a C person. A, this is an individual who doesn't love things to do with investments. You try to tell them about shares, they're like, nah, I don't want to hear anything about shares. Anything to do investments like sort of index fund or maybe MMF or maybe I don't like that. I just love when I'm actively engaged. I love when I engage in the things that are a little bit risky and it's making me more. So this guy, definitely they're talking about businesses, okay? Businesses. Now, another individual will be like, hey, you know what? I'm employed, I am busy, and again, I don't have like that big risk appetite. I would just want to get myself into a thing that, hey, it's making me something and I'm not really like engaged there, right? So that individual is talking about what? Something like investments, okay? And when you have the person C, most of these people you find they don't understand who they are. These are people who are like, hey, guess what? You tell them, hey, your business does this and this and the investment does it. They're like, I think they're all okay. Maybe I can go with them. So there are people who can do what? This is what? This is a combination of the two. And again, the point is this. For you to invest on T-bills, bonds, businesses, MMF, or a SACCO, it depends on your what we call the end results. End results, or should I call it your what? Your target. Okay? What is your target when you're investing? For example, let's say you want to put something that's going to be making you money actively. Okay? Actively. And again, on top of this, you have two things that you have to consider. Number one, you have the time, or what should I call it, accessibility. As far as that business is concerned, you are accessible to that business, you are available. So at that particular point, if you have the time and obviously you have the capital, okay, obviously you have the capital to start that specific business, and you have what we call the risk appetite. You have like risk appetite, or this is called risk aversion or whatever. Like you have that elevated risk, you can actually be out there, take risk and move on to the next level. Then therefore at that particular point, it means then you are actually more inclined towards the business. That's what works for you. That's what you are good at. So it's good to know yourself. And always I tell people, please avoid investing into something that you find most of the people are avoiding and investing into it, but you don't understand it. So you are investing it on the basis of people are doing it. For example, we had something like Coil's business back then. For the Gen Z may not understand what I'm talking about, but there is always this frantic movement or frantic energy that hovers around. Hey, you know what? There is this idea, a lot of people get into it, you included, and then the reason why you're getting into it is because of the fear of missing out. So you get into a thing that you don't understand the nitty-gritties. So if you're inclined to businesses, don't get into the investment that people are talking about, okay? Just disregard them. So if you're this kind of a person, you have the time, you have the accessibility, that is the time, the accessibility to the business, you have the capital, obviously, to start the business, and you actually have that risk appetite, then you can incline yourself towards the businesses, because these are the factors that ought to have for you to be able to get into the business. But if you're this kind of an individual, hey, you know what? You're not really struggling that much with what we call the cash flow. Probably at this particular point, if you go the business way, you're actually considering what we call the cash flow. You really need cash flow. For example, people need different things, and that's why I always say I cannot be able to force some things down your throat. I cannot just come with this predetermined answers to your question and I tell you, hey, guess what? MMF are doing good. Just get into the MMF. No. Just get into the MMF. I cannot be able to do that. I have to listen to you. I know what you need. If you really need cash flow, then I will tell you, hey, get into the business. For example, if you call me, you're a student and you're telling me, hey, Joseph, I'm struggling to pay my bills. And by the way, where I come from, I just have a place where I can set up something. Go to the business way. It is risky. I cannot assure you to go about there like 100%, obviously, but at least go the business way. Perhaps you call me, hey, hey, Joseph, I have like 10 G's. I don't have any other money. I just want to pay bills for my life. I want to eat. So I can't tell you buy shares, obviously, because they can't pay your bills today. You get what I'm saying? So that is exactly what we go for. Two, say you're looking forward, you're not really struggling with cash flow. You're looking forward into having a thing like sort of, let's say, an emergency fund. No, not really emergency fund. Let's say you want to have something like a sinking fund, okay? Sinking fund. And you don't want to put this money just idly in a bank. So therefore, you can pick an MMF, all right? So if you want a sinking fund is that amount of money that you set aside and you're anticipating a certain need will rise. For example, I love giving this example. I don't know why. Say you have a pregnant wife, so and you know, hey, in a few months to come, definitely she'll be, giving birth, and therefore it means a pregnant wife or lactating mother, she ought to be taken care of, eat good, kids ought to be taken care of, and all those kind. Mean that you need money, in a certain period of time. Therefore, you can actually pick an MMF as sort of, you can actually even pick an MMF as an education policy. You can be like, hey, guess what? Immediately after this wife of mine gets pregnant, then it means I'm going to pick an MMF, invest into that, and take it as like a sinking fund. This is where all the money need goes for the mother and the kid. I'll be taking that money from. I repeat, let's say maybe you have a wife who gives birth, and then you're like, hey, guess what? That's amount of money that I'm going to put it there. Whatever a need of our kids arises, I'll be getting money from that specific place. Did you get that point? So that is exactly what you do and take that actually functions and works for you. So, or maybe let's say, hey, guess what? I'm looking for, and maybe I'm a student. I don't have time to invest. Maybe I'm doing like a medicine or maybe an engaging course or something of sort. Then you can pick an MMF. You be putting some few coins out there, or maybe just join first year. I don't want to start any business. I just want to focus on my studies. After the 4th year, I've graduated. I just want to have some cash that I can be able to start a business. Pick an MMF that would work for you. For example, hey, say what? I'm outside the country for the next 2 years. I just want to have some good cash and I don't want to make my money lie in a bank. Pick an MMF that will actually work for you. All right. And then we have another set of people who are saying, hey, guess what? I just want to invest, yes, earn dividends and interest on my money. But at the same time, I just want to have what we call the loan accessibility. I want a credit. You get what I'm saying? So it means that individual, he's not only looking for the interest from the money, but also they're looking for what we call the credit score. You want to get some cash in terms of the credit or a loan, in future. So at that particular point, guess what is fit for you? SACCO fit for you. Okay. SACCO is actually better for you. Okay. Now, if you put that money and put it in a SACCO, and then obviously if you're able to front the 4 guarantors that they ask you, then they're able to actually get a loan all the way up to 4 times. 4 times whatever you have invested. Okay. Now, if you're looking forward into getting a loan, then this is the best route, because obviously money market fund doesn't give you a loan. SACCOS does. So if you were to pick a SACCO out there, invest with that given SACCO, then it means you are actually able to do something at the end of the day. All right. I hope you're getting my point as we move together. All right. So the thing is, people need or require different things. Okay. SACCOS, obviously SACCOS, they have like 3 different accounts. We have the share capital account. This is when you open an SACCO and you become a member, or should I say one of the owners of that given SACCO, because you give them money, they give you share. Then when you own a company, you are entitled to dividends. When you invest in a company, when you give the money to invest and you're not an owner, usually earn interest rate. And that's why and this is a question that most of the people ask me. Do I earn dividends in the MMF? No, you don't earn dividends. You earn what we call interest rates. Why? You're not an owner. You're not one of the owners of that given company. What you do, you've given them money to invest on your behalf, and then they share with you the interest. But when you own a company, when you become one of the owners of the company, then you earn dividends because you are given shares. On MMF, you're not given shares. I better have differentiated those two things. So SACCOS, actually, if you want to go for a loan, if you want to one day get some loan and what have you, and that you can actually go towards there. And by the way, some SACCOS usually give, actually, I think most of the SACCOS usually give a quite, what we call, a bit of a cheaper loans compared to banks. I don't know whether you're watching me from your country, you usually have these kind of SACCOS. SACCOS are quite good, and I'm not advertising them, but it's one way if you're growing yourself rather than starting the bank way. Bank way, it seems like, especially in Kenya right now, most of the banks don't even give, they don't give loans, just like that easily to people, because in Kenya there is a policy, or there is a situation whereby the government and the citizen are competing for the loans from the bank. bank. The government is actually borrowing from the bank, and also the citizen are borrowing. So there is that competition. If you are the bank, who would you lend? Obviously you go for the government, okay, because they have more asset, the more surety compared to people. All right. Anyway, that's a policies of any given different countries out there. So it is what it is. But anyway, if you can be able to front the ability to actually repay that loan from a bank, you can be able to do so. I've also seen another thing, that people getting a loan from a bank and they're really struggling to pay it back because elevated risks, not risk, but rather elevated interest rates. And then these guys are actually having a very tough time. There is something called payoff loans, or some sort of, you go get a loan, you have a loan in a bank, and the SACCOs are actually aware that you have a loan. Then they give you bigger than that, they pay off the loan, they pay for your loan from a bank, and then you, yeah, there is that policy that exists. That's why you find most of the people who are employed, they tend to have, there's some investments in SACCOs because they favor them in that category. Now we go to the last one. And the last one is about treasury bills and the treasury bonds. Why would you consider this, and what is it, and what are the advantages? So when you talk about T-bills and T-bonds, definitely we are talking about lending government your money. So with this regard, T-bills and T-bonds, by the time you're coming to invest on T-bills and T-bonds, you already know what is an investment. You've tried several things. Maybe you've gone the SACCOs way, you've tried them MMF way, probably you own some shares, or you ever thought of owning some shares, or maybe you have ever owned some shares. So you already, see, T-bills and T-bonds, it's not really for the newbies who are getting to the investment, but does not mean that you cannot skip all others and go to the T-bills. No, does not rule it out that way. You can be able to do so. Now, the point is, why would you go the T-bills and T-bonds? First of all, this one goes for if at least you have a little bit of a good amount. For example, on the T-bonds here, we usually have like two of them. We have the fixed to coupon T-bonds. Here you need a minimum of 50K. And 50K, and there is another one called IFB, that is infrastructure bond. Actually here you need a minimum of 100K. So if you have this amount of money, because this is a factor to consider, also the capital that you have determines on where you can get yourself into. For example, on SACCOs, you need like a minimum of 2,500 to get started. Businesses, it depends on which business you want to start. Okay, MMF, again, you need like 100 bob. There's some of the companies you can invest with less than $1. When I say 100 bob, bob means like a shilling in Kenya, okay? Now, IFB means like you need like 100 G's minimum to get started. Okay, bills, on the other hand, you need a minimum of 100K. So it's always good to also compare or consider the capital that you have if you want to invest in either this. Now, what are these things, or what are the advantages? By the way, honestly speaking, I think bills and bonds are the one that have the highest interest rate. I'm referring to Kenya. Right now, bills is going all the way to 16%. It's not yet there, but is around that particular point. The FXD right now, as we speak, it's around the same case, like 16%. Otherwise, actually, all the way close to 17%. And IFB is close to 18%. You know, actually, I saw a reopen of another bond that is actually going all the way to 18%. So at this particular point, this is quite a crazy return in terms of the investment. 18%, whoa! Do you know what that means? If you invest your 100 Gs, it means that you get your 180K, and it's tax-free with regard to IFB. Tax-free, you know, you get your 780 Gs, you know, in an year. And then if this money is actually paid 2 times per year, so they divide this by 2, then you get your 90K after 6 months, 90K after 6 months. So, I mean, if you have like a couple of millions you can invest, you can go ahead and do this. Should I say that T-bills and T-bonds requires you to have a little bit of a capital? Yeah, absolutely, yes. You need to have a little bit of the of amount to actually get started. That's why I say this is not really that investment that you usually start with if it's your first time getting into the investments. You can actually go ahead and be able to, to try others before you come to this particular point, because even this MMF and the SACCOs, they usually invest on this. For example, MMF, they usually invest on the T-bills and the T-bonds, okay? Because that is one requirement by the law. You know, they have to invest in areas where are quite stable, so that at least people cannot lose their money and such kind of things. And also SACCOs, I stand corrected, but some of the money that the SACCOs usually collect from their owners, they usually put it in these treasury bills and the treasury bonds. So anyway, it is what it is. Now, out of the description that I've given you, now you can be able to answer the question, which one among these is usually the best for you to invest? I've explained each and every one, which one gives and the kind of a personality you can actually go for. Now, having explained that, I believe if I say this is the end of my video, I've actually been justice and fair to you, and I've left you in a point whereby you can say, hey, guess what? I was a little bit confused. Now I have an answer. I can go for this, not this, and not the other. That is exactly the kind of a decision we usually make when it comes to investment. And there's one thing I will tell you. Don't overconsult. Just don't complicate the things. Just get out there, do something, invest, let's move to the next level. That is exactly how you do for you to progress in this life. But if you're out there and you're over considering, you're over consulting, you can get yourself confused, and that's how you lose an opportunity. Don't let the opportunity miss out. And again, I repeat, don't actually invest into something because people are investing into it in the fear of missing out. Don't forget one thing. My name is Joseph. Talk about money, investment, and anything related to that. If that's a cup of your coffee, I mean, seriously, who hates money? Hit that like button and as well subscribe so that to be notified whenever I upload a new good video. For now, it's a goodbye. But don't forget, my number is always on the description of this specific video. Pick it up. Let's do business. For now, it's a goodbye. See ya.